Hello friends. Today we're going to discuss about what are the ethical guidelines and law which regulate research in psychiatry. I'm Dr. Suresh Badadmat, Professor of Psychiatry, working at National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore. In this video, I'll be discussing about ethics, what are the ethical guidelines, and the law which govern the research in psychiatry. Immediately after the Second World War, there was a Nuremberg Code which was drafted to take care of the human participants in any kind of clinical trial. As you know, the Nazis subjected many people, soldiers, into clinical trial without their consent. Hence, the Nuremberg Code clearly said that we need to have consent from the human being when they are subjected to any kind of clinical trial. Subsequent to that, the Tuskegee trial from Alabama, US, with regard to the syphilis study for over a period of 4 decades, from 1932 to 72, many black people were not even offered any treatment for syphilis. The news came into picture in 1972 and there was an uproar in US. Regarding this, a Belmont commission was set up and in 1978 Belmont report came. With regard to clinical trials, they came up with three important ethics: respect for person, beneficency, and justice. These the three pillars were considered for any kind of clinical trial. Later, autonomy, the patient has right to refuse or choose their treatment. Non-maleficency, first do no harm. Truthfulness and honesty were the other three which were added for the ethical principles with regard to research. Even ICMR also had similar kind of experience with regard to human participants in clinical research. One of the well-known study is study of cervical dysplasia in women. This study did not take any informed consent. Subsequently, in 1988, the first ICMR ethics guideline came into picture. The second edition was in 2000, third was in 2006, and the current is 2017 guidelines. The 2017 guideline is titled as National Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical and Health Research Involving Human Participants. This is the guideline which needs to be followed across India whenever human participants are subjected to any kind of research. This guideline has 12 chapters, 2 annexures, which is around 187 pages in total. This is a comprehensive document with regard to research. These are the 12 chapters. If you compare to the third edition, there are 7 different chapters were added to this guideline. This includes genetics, research during disaster, biomedical materials, biobanking and datasets, and various other important chapters were added. Subsequently, in 2019, ICMR Policy on Research, Integrity and Public Ethics 2019 was published. This is with regard to researchers who are publishing. They need to follow certain research integrity. This guideline also defined what is plagiarism, like wrongful appropriation and stealing publication of another paper or another author's language, thoughts, ideas, or expression. Accidental plagiarism was defined. Redundant publications, that is salami publication. This is referring to publishing many very similar manuscripts or reports based on the same experiments and some same work of design. Direct plagiarism, That is, this includes complete or partial direct copying or word by word copying of someone else's work. Self plagiarism and mosaic plagiarism were considered. Further, the ICMR guideline also spoke about Research Integrity Unit, ICMR Bioethics Unit. These both will be established in ICMR, especially in New Delhi. If you have taken any kind of ICMR funds to do research and any kind of complaint, invariably given to Research Integrity Unit, and they will do the inquiry of the any complaints. And if you are doing any publications, they will look into plagiarism. What is the similarity index? Acceptable? Whether minor modification has to be done, major modification has to be done, or else it will be completely rejected. If there are any kind of misconduct against the researcher, complaint is given, then ICMR inquiry committee will look into the aspects. They will ask the researcher what is his response. Based upon the response, they will either discharge or else they will further do the inquiry. Whether there will be minor recommendations will be given, majorly penalty, suspension, warning, such kind of actions will be taken by the ICMR. Further, in 2023, ethical guidelines for application of artificial intelligence in biomedical research and healthcare was published. There are three important pillars in this. It talks about ensuring ethical conduct, addressing the emerging ethical challenges in the field of artificial intelligence, providing a framework for ethical decision making in medical AI during the development, deployment, and adoption of AI based solution. This guideline has 5 chapters, which includes ethical principle, guiding principle for all stakeholders, an ethics review process, governance of AI use, and informed consent. These are the various 5 important chapters mentioned. And these are the ethical principles which need to be followed when you are deploying artificial intelligence related any kind of research, which starts with non-discrimination and fairness, optimization and data quality, accessibility and equity, risk minimization and safety, collaboration, autonomy, data privacy, accountability and liability, trustworthiness, validity. These are the ethical principles which need to be followed when you are using medical AI. Other ICMR guidelines which have been published are National Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical Research involving children in 2017, and further ethical requirements for systematic review and meta-analysis proposal. This is hardly a 4-page guideline which clearly indicated if a systematic review or a meta-analysis protocol was followed the standards of international guidelines, procedures, and prospective registration is done, such kind of protocol need not be submitted for ethics committee clearance. Further, Joint Ethics Review for Multicentric Research of ICMR was also published in 2023. In 2020, because of the pandemic COVID-19, National Guidelines for Ethics Committee reviewing biomedical and ethic research during the COVID-19 pandemic was also released, which is applicable for COVID-19 pandemic only. These are the various ethical guidelines one need to follow if you are doing psychiatric research. Now coming to the law. Mental Health Care Act of 2017 also talks about research. Mental Health Care Act of 2017 was passed in the Parliament on 7th of April. This legislation also defines informed consent in Section 2, subsection 1 of I. It says informed consent means consent given for specific intervention without any force, undue influence, fraud, threat, mistakes, or misrepresentation, and obtained after disclosing to a person adequate information including the risks and benefits of and alternatives to, and the specific intervention in a language and manner understood by the person. This is the informed consent as per the legislation. Further, the law also mandates right to confidentiality under Section 23. A person with mental illness shall have the right to have confidentiality in respect of his mental health care, treatment, and physical health care. All healthcare professionals providing care or treatment to a person with mental illness shall have a duty to keep all such information confidential which have been obtained during the care and treatment. Along with this, Section 99 is very specific for research. The professional conducting research shall obtain free and informed consent from all persons with mental illness for participation in any research involving interviewing the person or psychological, physical, chemical, or medical intervention. That means, my dear friends, even for an interview, Section 99 of the Mental Health Care Act clearly indicates informed consent to be taken. Suppose, in case of a research involving a psychological, physical, chemical, or medicinal intervention to be conducted on a person who is unable to give the free informed consent and but does not resist in participation in such research, such kind of research, permission to be taken from the state mental health authority. That means, if you are conducting a research on a person with mental illness who does not have capacity, in such a scenario, you need to take permission from state mental authority. The state mental authority may allow the research to be proceed based upon the informed consent being obtained from the nominated representative of the person with mental illness. And further, if the state authority is satisfied, the proposed research cannot be performed on any other person except on the person with mental illness, and the free informed consent cannot be taken. The proposed research is necessary to promote the mental health of the population represented by the person. The purpose of the proposed research is to obtain knowledge relevant to the particular mental health needs of the person with mental illness, a full disclosure of the interest of the person and the organization conducting the proposed research is made, and there is no conflict of interest involved. And finally, the proposed research follows all the national and international guidelines and ethical approvals has been obtained from the Institutional Ethics Committee where such research can be conducted. That means, my dear friends, apart from ICMR biomedical ethics research, you need to take Mental Health Care Act of 2017, Section 99, if you are conducting research on persons with mental illness who does not have capacity. The provision of this section shall not restrict research-based study of the case notes of a person who is unable to give informed consent as long as the anonymity of the person is secured. That means if you are doing a retrospective file review and if the confidentiality is maintained, no need of taking consent. The person with mental illness or the nominated representative who gives informed consent for participation in any research under the Act may withdraw the consent at any time during the period of research. That means you cannot say you have already given consent. As per the law, they can withdraw consent anytime, either the patient or the NR. Similarly, Right to Persons with Disability Act of 2016 also talks about research. Section 6 talks about protection from cruelty and inhuman treatment. Section 6, subsection 2 clearly says no persons with disability shall be subjected to any research without the free and informed consent obtained through accessible modes, means, and format of communication, and prior permission of the Committee for Research on Disability, and in which not less than half of the members shall themselves be a person with disability or members of the registered organization working for disability. Further, RPWD Rules 2017, which was amended in 19, 20, 23, 24, also talks about the formation of Central Committee for Research on Disability. Rule 4 clearly says that The Central Committee for Research and Disability will be headed by an eminent person having a vast experience in the field of science or medicine to be nominated by the central government. The nominee of the Director General of Health Services, not below the rank of Deputy Director General, 4 persons drawn from the national institutes, 5 persons representative of the registered organization from each of the 5 groups of the specified disabilities, provided at least 1 representative from the Director, Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disability, New Delhi will be considered. All these members will be the Central Committee for Research on Disability. Further, the Rule 5 also says person with disability not to be a subject of research. I have not understood this. It says no person with disability shall be a subject of research except when the research involves physical impact on his body. That means if there is a mental impact, can we do the study or not? That is not clear. Rule 5 needs to be explained, interpreted by the Central Committee. Otherwise, you will not be able to do any kind of research with regard to persons with disability having mental disability or developmental disability. Further, the new rules, that is New Drugs and Clinical Trials Rules of 2019 under Drugs and Cosmetic Act of 1940 has been notified. This rules was notified on 19th March 2019. Any investigational new drug need to follow New Drugs and Clinical Trial Rules. And amended in 2023 also exempts 2 animal species to 1 animal, either it may be a rodent or a mammal, and a new technology can be adopted, that is 3D organoids, organs on chip, and advanced computational methods can be used. This New Drugs and Clinical Trial Rules also mandates certain important things, and that is registration of all clinical trial, registration of ethics committee both at the ministry, and also one need to take permission from the Ministry of the Health with regard to screening of any international organization collaboration, and also you need to take permission from FSRA if you are taking funds from the international organization. My dear friends, you need to understand research is a privilege. You are being given an enormous power and responsibility. Do not misuse it. Use research for the benefit of persons with mental illness and persons with disability. Here, ethics is at paramount. You need to follow both Mental Health Care Act of 2017 and Right to Persons with Disability Act. Further, if you are getting involved in investigational new drug, you need to take permission from the SEDESCO and also CTRI and Ethics Committee before you do any clinical trial. Ethics Committee approval is must. Take permission from State Mental Authority, Central Mental Authority, or the Central Committee for Research on Disability if you are doing on research on disability, persons with disability. And don't forget, New Drugs and Clinical Trial Rules 2019 is in place. FCRA Act is there. The rules are there. If you are taking any funds from the international collaboration, this FCRA compliance is very required. And finally, if you are doing international research, Health Ministry Screening Committee has to give permission. Thank you very much for giving your valuable time. Stay safe.